Hey there, comic book friends, I'm Travis, and this is another edition of No Capes, where I talk about comic books that don't have to do with superheroes and or Ethan doesn't read them or doesn't review them along with me. First, I'm going to talk about Ghost number 4 by Dark Horse Comics. Originally, this would have been the last issue. Supposedly, this comic book is ongoing. The beginning of March was at Emerson Lake Comic Con. The information coming out then was a little bit misleading. Is it actually an ongoing, or is it just set up to where they can tell another set of series when Kelly Sue and whoever has time to write the thing? I think she's actually going to have a person who helps her write it. Not sure how all of these dual writerships work. I mean, I understand how some of them work to some degree because they've been around a long time. Justin Gray and Jimmy Pavlani, for instance, have always been a writing team. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly how this is going to work going forward. It does end. It does end with a setup for them to continue to go forward. The three main characters. This wasn't a bad run of comics. It was enjoyable. It's an interesting concept. It felt like this ending was tied up a little fast. Just kind of it was simply this. And so I don't know that I was real keen on that. But like I said, though, it wasn't a bad story. It was enjoyable as far as that goes. This continues to solidify my opinion on Phil Noto's artwork. While a stagnant picture like this of his is quite good and quite beautiful, really attractive. I like a lot about it. I don't feel like his art has movement on the page. And my understanding is from that con I was at and some of the panels I was on, that it sounded like that Phil Noto wasn't going to be the artist on it if they moved forward. But I'm not 100% sure on that because they didn't really say. It was kind of a no comment when someone asked about it. But it was a fine series. I will probably, if another little series of it comes out, I will probably pick it up also to see what they're going to do next. I mean, it leaves the story's left with kind of a, ooh, these are people they can go and hunt down, and so maybe they'll do that. I like the characters. I think they're interesting, so I might be interested in reading it further to see how those stories unfold. But if that's simply all there is to the story, there's not going to be much to the book. So I'd assume that Kelly Sue would enrich it further than that. But the characters, I like the characters. Their dynamics are somewhat interesting and amusing. But not a bad end, if that is the end, though. Okay, next I'm going to talk about... this is Saucer Country issue 13. I really like this cover. Purple hues. I'm all for purple hues. We're on the very eve of the election. Literally, the next day is going to be the election, is my understanding from reading this. The other side that Arcadia is running against plays a card in the attempt to scare them off about them knowing that she thinks she's been abducted by aliens. How they know that, I'm not sure. They don't explain that part. That's part of the mystery of it. So there's that mystery that's going on. There's the whole other secret society, one of the other secret societies that's kind of been watching Professor Kidd and all of the stuff that he's doing, and they are kind of wanting to work themselves into being as close as possible to Arcadia in case she wins and she gathers this information from the government that they don't have. They want to make sure they have it. They mess with her. They give her some good misinformation to throw off that group for a while. And we also have Professor Kidd going to hang himself because he's been made a fool of. His little spirit friends show up and talking about how to kill himself, saying, hey, we can give you some real evidence, some hard physical evidence of alien life. Follow these directions. They follow all these, he follows all these directions, flies to Washington, D.C., goes and snags this magical item, and this is a spoiler if you haven't read this book. While he's doing that, he also makes a phone call and says, "Get him," or something along those lines. And Arcadia's Latin American muscle that she has, they've kind of helped her as governor and that sort of thing. They're kind of like, you know, the local boys that help protect her. They storm this room, and our two fairy people are in the room with video cameras, standing there naked. So somehow they're projecting themselves. It's a ruse. It's a ruse. It's not. He's not really hallucinating. These people are manipulating him some way. Really curious to see what that's going to be about. I still really like this comic. I absolutely love Ryan Kelly's artwork. I will continue to say once he's done with this, I hope he gets lots of work. I know he's going to be doing a comic from Image Comics called, I want to say it's 21, but maybe it's 3. It's a number of some sort. At least he's going to be doing that. I'm hoping some other big things for him. I love the emotion and stuff like that he puts into the comic. Very good so far. Feels like it's still a bummer to see that it's going to go. I can understand why it's going though. It's a really interesting comic. It's got a lot of dynamics, but it also at times feels slow in the sense that there's a lot going on. You have to be willing to read for a long-term payoff as opposed to a short-term payoff. So I understand why that doesn't really work very well for that. Okay, here it is, the final issue of Change, number 404. This is an awesome cover. I don't know if the light in here is going to pick it up. You've got the city down below, a burning skull, and smoke, and a plane. And I briefly talked on Twitter, I think with Sleepy Reader, about this, that my only way of describing this book and describing the whole series is it made perfect sense. In the same way that the most convoluted Philip K. Dick hallucination could make sense. Okay, if you don't know who Philip K. Dick is, he's a sci-fi writer in the 60s who wrote lots of amazing stuff. He wrote things like Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which got made into the movie Blade Runner, and a bunch of other stuff along those lines. He's also written tons of things that are, I mean, most hardcores, I think he's an awesome sci-fi writer. So I don't know if that's a good comparison for this book or not, because I really think that Phil K. Dick is brilliant. But Phil K. Dick also suffered greatly from hallucinations and paranoias and that sort of thing. Or maybe it was all real. I don't know. Anyway, this thing is so crazily convoluted. There's talking tumors in this thing. There really is a Chthonian creature in it that does come up from out of the water. The spaceman, I'm still not 100% sure on what the spaceman's purpose was, other than when he crashes his ship comes crashing down and actually shreds the tumor off of this guy's head and all kinds of craziness. So like there's this incredible kind of indie art here, like this right here. And it says this is number 4. This must be the place. A naive melody, right? So it's this giant water. There's all the cultists down here. Okay, all these cultists down here. Here's our guy, one of our main characters. He has a tumor on the back of his head, and that's actually what you're looking at there. And it's got socks stuffed in its mouth because they got tired of listening to the tumor talk. Okay, this is W2, our rapper here. So all these cultists down by the water. You notice there's waves everywhere except for in this calm spot. This is where the Chthonian creature is going to rise. Okay, and the character is saying, "Welcome to the end of the road," is what the guy with the tumor in the back of his head is saying. And over here in this small little inset panel, he's bleeding because he's been beat up and whatnot. And W2 says, "Why is the alligator wearing?" And he says, "Let it go," because over here there's an alligator wearing a tuxedo. It's got nothing to do with anything. It's just freaking there to be there. It's absolutely nuts. I do love some of the paneling, though. Here's this drone. I don't know what the drone's got to do with anything, but the drone actually starts to, you know, the drone has seen it all. It feels nothing. After all, it is a drone. But the geometry of what is happening on the beach below is so strangely, if the drone could think, it would think about it. But it thinks nothing. After all, it is a drone. But anyway, here's this. I love these panels here. 4, 3, 2, 1. As the ship is crashing into the atmosphere, coming down in the atmosphere, flying along. Here's our spaceman, and his ship is coming apart. Got this other crazy hallucination stuff in here. At any rate, spaceship comes down. Briefly, the drone actually does, while the Chthonian creature is rising, the drone actually does gain some level of sentience, and about the second that it gains a level of sentience and says, I'm alive, right? Here it is, the drone saying, I'm alive. It gets hit by the spaceship as it enters the atmosphere and blows it up. And that is like 10 pages into a probably 30-plus page book. This is very, very thick. Very, very thick final issue. It's hefty. And it hits the drone, it squeals, and there's a blank page that basically all it says on the blank page is, I never wanted to grow up so fast. But anyway, as it's crashing down, it actually rips off the guy's tumor off his back, just missing him. I know I'm spoiling the crap out of this book I don't know how, but so this is a pretty awesome picture of the Chthonian creature rising up out of the deep, right? So this whole script, this whole story that was supposed to be hogwash, it actually, no, really wasn't. They really are kind of predicting what was going to happen. Lots of incredible psychobabble and panels, which were cool in its own right, but at the same time, you gotta be kidding me. Here he is basically making love with like a shadow version of himself. Here we are in the intestines of the Chthonian creature. Okay, I'm getting to the good part. Okay, so, to scar you all for life, see that right there? See that pink spot? That's Cthulhu's anus. I know y'all wanted to see that. And, this girl's shirt down here, this little pink shirt, pretty much sums the whole thing up. And it farts our main character out and back into the ocean. It's totally nuts. It's totally nuts. As much as this book makes no sense whatsoever, I kind of like it. But there is no way that I could recommend this book to anybody. I couldn't. There's not a single person I know of that I could recommend this, that I could comfortably recommend this book to. If you have a lot of disposable income, well, enough to buy all these, or to buy a trade if they happen to make a trade, awesome. Go get it. Not on my recommendation, but go get it because it's a head trip. But yeah, I dig it because of the beginning of it, if nothing else. It's got lyrics from The Kill, which is a band I really, really like, and it also has more poetry. Carl Gustav June. Only that which can destroy itself is truly alive. Absolutely made no sense. I would love if I don't know if Red Vitamin Blue actually finished picking up this whole thing. He had a great video on it at about issue 2, which cover of issue 2 has a little wonderful medication pouring out on it, and he commented on the fact you needed lots of medication to actually read the damn thing. If you've read the rest of these, man, I would love to hear what you have to think about the rest of the book. Part of me wonders if they kind of went, to some degree, if they went with the whole Naked Lunch book, how that was written, about how he chopped it up, the chapters, and then spun around different places. But this actually does make some linear sense, so I don't know if that's the case. I just think that a lot of the story is just kind of way out there, and you have to just kind of accept what it is. And so, yeah, I'll be really curious to see if these guys put out any more work, just to see what it's like, because it was a real interesting ride. I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. At any rate, so let's talk about something that I can get a better grasp on. This is the End Times of Bram and Ben. This is 3 of 4. I do love this cover. This is their rock and roll concert. This is a 66.6 hour festival of rock, revelry, and revelations with bands like the Left Behinds, The Accumulated Destruction, the Horse Foreman, Jesus Christ Super Soaker, Horrors Babylon, Oops We're Asian, and DJ Magic Underpants. And just for my own amusement, I think Oops We're Asian, I think is a masturbation reference, only because of the song. I think I'm turning Japanese. I really think so. I think I'm turning Japanese. I really think so. However that song goes. That's what it reminds me of. Anyway, this is an amusing book. I don't know that I needed to have picked it up. I don't know that it's telling me anything new or any great revelation and whatnot in it. Yeah, I don't think it's giving me a new spin or a new commentary on the rapture or not going to the rapture. What would that mean? All that kind of stuff. It's relatively tongue-in-cheek. There are some funny stuff. There is some funny stuff in it, and I'm sure that's what it's supposed to be. Is basically just an amusing kind of thing. Some funny things that happen in it. The laundry list of what Ben has to follow to make sure that he doesn't go to hell while he's trying to help out the angels is pretty funny. He roofies his would-be girlfriend that he's in love with instead of Bram, because they're hoping to knock Bram out so he doesn't cause any more problems. He does bring up a good point in the fact that Bram really isn't the third party for the apocalypse, heaven, hell, and Bram. That basically he's just, you know, spewing the same crap that has always been there, not really giving them an alternative. That was kind of an interesting ploy. To the end of this, the characters get snatched up and get sent off to the real, they're going to meet the real antichrists, plural. And the real antichrists are basically Penn and Teller, or the equivalent of Penn and Teller. So, yeah, that is pretty amusing. And Penn and Teller are not really entertained by these guys stealing their limelight. So, yeah, it's an okay book. But, I mean, nothing abnormally, you know, special and whatnot. But not upset to have gotten it. Anyway, and then lastly, that elusive book for so many people, it is Nowhere Man issue 4, which blows my mind that this is only issue 4 because it really feels like I'm reading a novel when I read this book. Once again, it is front to back, 30 some odd pages of comic book and story. There is no wasted pages on advertisement or anything like that. I think it's outstanding. I hope these people are making money. I hope this is a successful book. I have no idea what the sales are or what constitutes sales. I mean, you open up the front cover, and here you've got this great thing where it's the 30th annual TSC Readers Poll, and it's basically a poll of, in the science community, who are the coolest companies, who are the coolest, you know, best male thinker, best female thinker, creep of the year, most wonderful human being, inventors, consumer products, industrial innovations, just all kinds of big long lists of things, which, granted, you could say, oh, well, that's totally meaningless crap. It doesn't really mean, I mean, it's not comic book, but it is. Because reading along and reading who won or who's picked as the, most wonderful human being, who the creeps are of the science world, I think is really fascinating. The back page, you got these awesome teeth that have been coughed out. The artwork continues to be stellar in it. We have these occasional flashbacks still to kind of give us more placement as to why these people are where they're at and how they're still players and shakers and things. Here's a piece of artwork that Emerson Strange, one of our 4 rock and roll scientists, has had created for his daughter on her preteen birthday of some sort. There's actually another part of a book in here. Here's the book. I love the fact the pages are kind of faded because this is an older book from the 60s. Science Friction is what the magazine's called, from Raymond Douglas. Raymond Douglas is a character who's in this book. He's the guy that coughs the teeth up here. He's the guy that found the piece of the space lab that had crashed to Earth and is now sick for something or whatever. But I mean, literally, here's prose right in the middle of the comic book. 3 pages of prose right in the middle of the comic book. The thing is awesome. Like I said, reads like a novel. Our characters, they're all infected, seem to not be infected so much as they've all gone through some level of metamorphosis and whatnot. As I talked about the last issue, there's this guy that's kind of this hulking, brightly colored, giant creature, lobster shell thing that you know, has the strength to pick up buses and throw them around. He's in here. Some other people have had some metamorphoses. They learn a little about that. We got our people who are out in the snow who aren't quite sure that they believe what's going on. They're a bit suspicious of the people who are scooping them up in the Arctic. There's some awesome scenes in here. Here's our one lady that was slowly on the cover of number 2. She was starting to slip in blue-black. Here she's really black. She's looking at herself in another person's visor. Is that what I really look like? There she is. Looking all, oops, looking all kind of freaky modified. I'm going to spoil a little chunk of it here for you because I'm just thinking like that. She's inside this, she gets inside the environmental suit to keep her for the winter from hurting or whatnot, even though it doesn't seem to be bothering her. And she's like, oh, I seem to be having a problem. And she goes, oh shit. And like, here she is. And it's like all of her flesh that was black kind of peels off of her skeleton. Awesome art. And goes, boy. So we have no idea what's happened to her now, other than there's a situation. As the other people who we can't see who they are inside these things are going off. Got the elder statesmen who are trying to patch up things. Dodd has come back. He's been asleep for we don't know how many years, 10, 15, 20 years. He's suddenly awake and comments on the fact that he has a different sense of reality now, whereas they used to kind of scoff at Walker, who's the 4th member of the Fab Four of this science team, who they kind of walked off the premises many years ago because he was using a little too many hallucinogenics and was just a little too crazy and whatnot. Dodd, this guy who's just woken up, comments on the fact that he now understands a little better how that guy said he was seeing things in a different view and whatnot, that he has kind of seen things in a different view and he needs to do some things and stuff. So interesting is going on there. Got this guy who works for kind of the other Fab Four member who's more business oriented, opened up his own business. There's some animosity between this group. The guy who's basically the attorney, PR man, has gone back to his place. He knows something bad's going to happen, and he starts erasing data. And this is a file on all the guys who were part of that. Right there's the lady who turned into the black goo. Files on all those people who are up in this secret space thing. And here he is. The screen is now grayed out, and he is, you see the percentages, 85% and 74% and 12% up here, as he is purging down here. Confirm button's been pushed to purge all these files, because he is going to protect himself, even if, final pages, even if the guy he's working for isn't going to protect himself. So, lots of cool stuff. Like I said, you've got these people with their superpowers, with their transformation going on, which is really fascinating and whatnot. And then you've got this history of these super scientists that have been out changing the world and all of their interpersonal struggles that go along with what the visions of what they're trying to do. And then you've got this other guy who's split off from them, and it's like a war between Emerson Strange and this other man as they race along to see who can control possibly the future and the vision of how the world will move forward and what science will be embraced. So you can almost take it as being like the battle that writers like to talk about, us sci-fi people like to talk about, and us alternate alternate history people like to talk about, the battle between Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla, and what would have happened if Tesla's vision would have grabbed hold and Edison would have went by the side, and Tesla had the muscle and the strength to push his vision forward and stuff. And I think, and maybe I'm reading too much into it because I like that sort of thing. It's kind of what I think is going on here between these two guys. Is there's going to be a competition of vision, and who's ever corporation wins out in all of this stuff, and especially with this whole secret thing that's going on, whoever wins out with that whole thing potentially has the ability to shape the world in their own vision, because these guys are so far out in front of everyone else as far as what they're creating and that sort of stuff. Absolutely excellent book. If you can't pick up first editions, pick up second editions. So what if you're not going to have the original copy or whatever? It's just an awesome story. Pick it up for the story. Worry less about the collecting of it. Hopefully there'll be a trade out at some point. I feel sorry for Sleepy Reader. Don't go to Portland, because I hear Portland comic book stores don't carry this comic and seem to never carry the comics. I don't know what's up with that. But it seems to be hard for people to get. I know Longbox Review, another one of my friends, is still waiting on his second printing of issue 2 before he can start reading it. I just, like I said, $3, 30 some odd pages of absolute back-to-back comic book telling, and it's great. Can't talk enough about it. So love it. More people need to pick it up so it sticks around, because I'm really digging it. Anyway, that's it for my No Capes this week. See you guys on the weekend.